Okay, this is the successful failure. Man, where do we feel like we're at now? Success or failure? This is the class for everybody that wants to lose. I'm good at it. All right. Okay, we're going to take some time to talk about failing. I hope I'm not the first one to burst your bubble on this. I might be. But there's a really, really, really strong possibility that you're going to fail. You're going to mess up. You're going to do something wrong. Eventually, maybe not yet, but eventually. So today I'm going to talk about 3 steps. 3 steps to being a successful failure. We'll talk about a little tool that I stole from the corporate world a little bit to help us with that. But first, I got to kick off with some. And I really hope, depending on how long this takes, I really hope that we got time toward the end for a little bit of a, if this turned into like Kidman therapy, like that would be all right. You guys, I don't remember. It seems like years ago there was a lady on the radio that people would call up and tell her their problems, and she'd give them like, is it like Dr. Laura? And people would call with like their dilemmas, and she would give them their, like, oh man. There's just something fun about failure sometimes. That sharing it amongst us lets you know you're not alone, right? So hopefully there's some time for that at the end. But I want to start with a couple of things that that my parents told me. My parents taught me. If you was in the other one, you heard a little bit about my parents and how awesome they are. They have not ever had the Holy Ghost. Claim Catholicism a little bit, but a couple of things that they taught me. So my dad, one of the things he always said that sticks with me, and I share it a lot, is he said, just remember, he said this about himself, I'm always a good example. Just sometimes it's of a bad thing. And then he would go on to say, he would say, so don't be stupid and learn from me. Learn from my mistakes. So don't repeat my mistakes. And I suppose that's pretty good advice. I don't personally want to be a good example of a bad thing. I'd rather be a good example of a good thing. But I make mistakes. Life happens. We want to get better. So, and I'm going to tell a story about one of my, I think it's like one of my biggest failures as a kid. And I don't know that his intent at the time was to teach me the lesson he taught me. That's how I'll say that. And then something my mom always said is she would always say, James, when you find something you're good at, stick with it. And I don't know if that was her way of saying I was not particularly good at whatever I was doing when she said that. So it was like, hey, find something you're good at and stick with it, but let's not stick with this. I don't know. Or maybe it was just her way of saying, hey, you're pretty good at messing up and goofing off, so become a clown. I don't know. As a kid, I did pretty good in school, especially compared to my brothers and my sister, or my brother and my sister. I got one of each. I was a pretty quiet kid, pretty reserved. I could do some crazy stuff. But my brother and sister were like the adventurers. They were the ones that wanted to go have all the fun, do all the cool stuff. And I was very content. I was the chicken. I was the chicken. I was a scaredy cat. So like when we'd go to the amusement park, Canopy Lake, we'd go to the Canopy Lake and they'd get on all the roller coasters and do all the fun rides and the water rides, that big, you go down and you get splashed with the water. And I was scared of that stuff, man. I'd be like, give me the merry-go-round. And don't even put me on the horse that's going up and down. I want the one that's just sitting there, and I'm happy to go in circles all day long. Like, give me that cotton candy. I'm good to go. My dad he had a pilot's license. He wasn't like a pilot, but he had a pilot's license. He liked to go up and fly every now and then. He didn't own a plane. I guess he rented one. I don't know. But I remember one day he wanted to take all of us up on the airplane. He was so excited. And listen, I was way too scared to get on an airplane with him flying the plane. Hey, this is the guy that says I'm always a good example, but maybe of a bad thing. How do I know how good he can fly? I don't know, but I know that plane goes way up in the sky. I'm not interested. And so I stayed with my Pepe that whole day. I ate a whatchamacallit candy bar. I was very happy, and I love whatchamacallit candy bars. Because of that one day, I colored in my 18 Mr. T coloring book all day. Life was good. It's a memory. Now, my brother and sister have an awesome memory of going up and looking at, the earth from being way up in the sky, and I got a memory of playing around with my grandpa. So, it's pretty cool. Going to the beach. I like to go to the beach. We lived in New Hampshire, so we'd go to the beach, and I would let them go out and swim in the water. They could play in the waves. I'm going to stay on shore. I'm going to build the sandcastle. It's the way it is. One of our friends had a boat on a lake. They wanted to go out on the lake on this boat. What an awesome idea, but not for me. I'm not going on the lake. There's sharks in that lake. I know it. I know it. There are sharks in the lake. It's going to sink. I'm going to drown and be eaten by a shark. I'm not going. I'm staying on the shore. I'm going to eat ice cream. And that's what I did while they went out on the boat on the lake. Somehow they all made it back. I'm a chicken. I was a chicken. And it didn't bother me at all to be the chicken. It just didn't. I don't know why. It should have, but it didn't. Now, goggles, though, do remind me of my biggest failure. So, y'all ever taken swimming lessons? Did you guys know that you could fail swimming lessons? I didn't know that. I didn't know it until I gave it a shot. And I failed swimming lessons, not once. I failed twice. And my parents still sent me back for the third round. They're like, you're going to learn this. You're going to learn how to swim. And so I passed the third round. But I don't know that I really passed the third round, or if it was like a 3 strikes and we're going to give you the certificate because you're a cool kid. But yeah, that's what happened. And so we passed. I passed. I didn't know how to swim. I did not know how to swim. But I did learn how to swim when I was about 8 years old. We went on a vacation to Cooperstown, New York. Super cool place. Y'all know what's in Cooperstown, New York? Why anybody would go on vacation there? Baseball Hall of Fame. Yeah, so as a kid, it was pretty cool to go to the Baseball Hall of Fame, and we stayed in this super fancy hotel. It's called the Otsego, something like that. It had a big O on it. And it was super fancy, and it was like, wow, like how are we doing all this? This is super cool as a kid. And they had this great big swimming pool, and it was super awesome. The hotel was right on the lake, and I remember that you could see from the pool, you could see the lake. And I thought, that's kind of stupid. Why would you put a pool right next to the lake? Go swim in the lake. And then I remembered, there's sharks in the lake. I ain't going in the lake. I'm going to swim in the pool. So we went to the pool, okay, and I'm swimming in the pool. I don't really know how to swim. I'm a chicken. I'm in the shallow end. I got one of those floaty balls that you can hang on to, and you can paddle your feet, and you can feel like you're swimming. And I got that ball, and I started paddling my feet, and I felt like I was swimming, and it was really great. And then I realized I'm in the deep end. It was awesome. I'm like 4'6". I don't know. I'm a little kid. I'm 8 years old, and I'm swimming. I'm in the deep end, and I think, this end of the pool, I think it's 1,000 feet deep. It should have been. I don't know. It was probably only 8 feet, maybe 12. I don't know. But I was excited because I was swimming down there like a big guy, and I knew how to swim. And I got real excited, and that ball that I was holding on to went flying out from me, and I can't touch the ground. I can't feel nothing. My feet are flapping. I start drowning, and I literally start drowning, and I'm going down. And my little 8-year-old life flashed before my eyes. I am telling you, I am dead. I am going down, and I'm splashing, making a bunch of noise. I'm drowning. I don't know what I'm doing. And I remember, like, I don't know how, like, my life flashed before my eyes, and then I see this lifeguard dive in the water, like, super clean, like a perfect dive in the water. She comes, she grabs me, pulls me up to the side, gets me in a chair, makes sure I'm okay. I don't need, I wasn't drowning to where I needed my lungs pumped out or none of that. I didn't need to be resuscitated, but I was drowning. I was dead boy. I was a dead boy. In my mind, apparently. But she pulled me out, got to the side of the pool. I calmed down. I warmed up, I dried off, took some breaths. I was scared, traumatized. 30 years later, I'm still talking about it. Wow, a long time ago. But I calmed down and I was like, okay, I'm ready to get back in the water. And I'm ready to go in the pool. And first, my dad, he comes over and he says, son, I'm really glad that you want to get back in the water. Yeah, every boy has that dream of hearing his daddy say, I'm proud of you. Every one of us, we have that story. We remember when daddy said he's proud of us or when we made him proud. And I'm sure there was a lot of times that I made dad proud, but this is the time that I remember him telling me. He said, I'm really glad you want to get back in the water. I'm really proud of you. I know how scary that had to be and how awesome it is that you want to go get back in the water. But before you go back in that water, you're going to go over to that lifeguard and you're going to tell her you're sorry for getting her wet. Now, I kind of think that's mean of him. I don't know. I wouldn't do that. I don't think I'd do that to my boy. And I'm not going to go make my boy drown to find out. But, an 8-year-old kid going to, it's bad enough he made this teenage girl get in the water. But now I got to go apologize to that teenage girl for getting her wet. She's just doing her job. So I did it. She didn't even think twice about it. I went over. I said, I'm so sorry that I got you wet. And she's like, it's okay. I wanted to get in the water. I like swimming. That's why she's a lifeguard, y'all. She wants to swim. So, but I'll tell you, I got back in the water. I learned to swim. I could, from that day on, I never had a trouble again. I don't know if all 3 years of swimming lessons just clicked after that. I don't know. But I didn't have trouble swimming again. And so after 30 years, I can tell you that I'm not scared of none of that stuff no more. The best plane ride of my life was in a little 4-seater, and it was my wife and I and the pilot. There's probably a co-pilot. There's probably all 4 of us in there. I don't remember him, but we were flying, and you could feel everything. If you guys have never been in a little plane, I go get in a little plane ride for fun because it was fun. It was like a roller coaster when you hit a little pocket and then go back up. It was fun. Our 40th birthday, my wife and I decided we're going to go sign a waiver that says, I understand that this plane is not regulated by the FAA, and I'll still strap the parachute to my back and go up there. And we took a fly up at 12,000 feet and plane with no door. And then when we got up there, the right spot, we jumped out. And we did that skydiving stuff. And it was fun. It was cool. I'll do it now. I'll do it again. I loved it. It was fun. But, fears. You got to face them. What does all that have to do with Sunday school, kids ministry? Experience teaches. It's some of us, it takes drowning, I guess, to learn how to swim. But I figured it out, learned how to swim. If you're going to be successful living for God, if you're going to be successful in kids ministry, you're going to be successful in leading kids to a relationship with God, you will experience failure. You're going to mess up. You're going to do it wrong. You're going to end up buying the little bottle trick, and it'll be wine bottles instead of juice bottles, and you got to relabel everything. You're gonna experience some kind of failure. Hopefully you don't, but you might find yourself drowning. And the key is learning how to be a successful failure. So the 3 steps are the 3 steps I took when I was drowning. I had to dry myself off. I had to get right with the lifeguard, and then get back in the water. Those are the 3 things that I had to learn to become a successful failure. And so that one really is a true story. It's not like the other stories I tell sometimes. That one's it happened exactly like that. And so we all know the scriptures like Micah 7 and 8. Rejoice not against me, O my enemy. When I fall, I shall arise. When I sit in darkness, the Lord shall be a light unto me. You're going to fall. Proverbs 24:16. For a just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again, but the wicked shall fall into mischief. I think it's really comforting reading the Bible, reading about Paul, who I've never met anybody that didn't think Paul was just an awesome apostle, right? I mean, he wrote most of the New Testament. And I just love, maybe that's wrong of me, that I like reading about his struggles. But, in Corinthians where he lists them out, of the Jews 5 times received I 40 stripes, save 1. Thrice was I beaten with rods. Once was I stoned. Thrice I suffered shipwreck. A day and a night have I been in the deep. He knows what it is to flop around in the sea out there. Worse than me. And journeyings often in perils of water, robbers, perils by the sea, on and on and on, right? We can read that. We can understand. We might have it bad, but we don't have it. I've not had it as bad as Paul's had it, right? He talks about, in Romans, he talks about wanting to do good but struggling. Philippians 3:13 through 15 is just amazing. Brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind, reaching forth unto those things which are before. I press toward the mark of the prize of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus. Let us therefore, this is one of the key verses, let us therefore, as many as be perfect, be thus minded. And if anything ye be otherwise minded, God shall reveal even this unto you. So he knew what it was to be a successful failure. And in verse 15 is that key right there. Be thus minded. Have that mind. And if you don't get this, if you don't understand this, yes, some of our elders were there. It was awesome. Great crowd. Dead spot comes. We got the song playing. And it's like somewhere around the 2-minute, 25-second mark. It breaks into a rap version of the song. Don't recommend trying it. I don't recommend trying. I'm looking over there, Elder Sister McDonald. I could see her like, and she mouths the words. And cut. Like we'd rather than playing that right now. I don't know how many other people noticed, but I tell you, Pastor noticed and I noticed. That's a majority. That's all it takes. I don't know. Nobody else really said anything. And, well, it's a joke now for me. But I promise you, what do you think my correction of errors is from that? No, it's even better than that. I'm listening to every second of every song that I put on any slide in my services, period. I don't care if I've heard the song before. If I sing that song in kids' church all the time, I am listening to every second of every track of every song before I put it in. That's my correction of errors. And let me tell you, I had to dry myself off and I had to go get right with my lifeguard. But we didn't cancel promotion services from then on. We just correction of errors. Let's move on. Let's do it right. Before I share another one, you guys got one? You guys, everybody's in here is a success part of this. That's the way it is. What you got, brother?
We got a VBS and we did a inflatable slide
Love them.
because of our theming. Covered the top of it. It's dark inside. And that was a mistake. Biggest mistake was not having a bolt on the inside where they
Oh.
climb up. A couple of boys. A couple of boys decided they were gonna jump on another board.
Uh-oh.
And pretty good.
Uh-oh.
Bloody nose. Next thing you know, I've got a kid. Boys were from.
Oh, they knew better.
The other kid.
Oh.
And so, correction there. Still have.
There's going to be an attendant. Yep.
Inside, you know.
Yep.
And of course, there was a lot of.
We're going to teach them boys how to be a successful failure. Right. Yeah. Woo. Who else?
I don't know where to start.
Oh.
We got a band using fire ever in Sunday school ever.
Oh. Oh.
I will say for bus ministry, we consent with the parent or even have them sign something.
Yes.
That the parent knows that they're getting picked up by a church van, or the parent signs something that, yeah, I'm giving release of my child, and when they need to be picked up. Church. If you have it after for guests.
Make sure you get them home on time. Yeah. Yeah, that.
Or make sure the parents aware.
Or don't put the
Yeah.
church kids on the bus.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Send a kid home without mom and dad. Mom and dad was there. Yeah. Yeah. Our vans, we have 5 total vehicles. 4 of them, this is another one that we just experienced way too recently. 4 of them all re-register in February. One of them's in November. So you get the little tag stickers to go put on the vans. We put them on there, and somehow, this was in 2020 that it started. You put them on there, and somehow they all are now February. And the first November come around, it was no big deal. We didn't notice nothing. The second November come around, we didn't notice nothing. Third November comes around, and the lady at the tag agency's like, why do you have one that's like 3 years past due? Did you sell it? Like, no, we didn't sell it. So we went back and was looking at the tag and pulling off stickers, and sure enough, we put the wrong sticker on the wrong van and hadn't been registering one of them for 3 years. So it's like, oh no. Luckily, there was no wreck. There was no need for insurance. There was no being pulled over, nothing like that in the 3 years. But if we would have been pulled over with that, like, it would have been a bad deal. So, correction of errors. We write the tag number on the receipt with the sticker before we put the sticker and verify it now. So, happens. Just gotta dry off, get right with the lifeguard, and get back in the water. What else we got?
So at my church, we're actually renting from Seventh-day Adventist church, so it's not even our own building. We usually have a rule for the amount of kids that we have. We usually don't try to have any less than 3. And for some reason, um, I was one of the teachers, and the other 2 teachers had to go leave and do something. So I was all by myself, and I'm usually one of the nicer ones out of the teachers that we have. And
You're the good cop.
seeing me by myself, the kids tried to take advantage of that and decided to spontaneously scatter across the room and play hide and seek. And they have this really fragile, like PVC pipe made tent decoration with like some type of painter cloth all over it. And some kids were hiding in the closets, some kids were hiding behind decorations that weren't ours, and some of the kids, like a bulk of the kids, decided to hide behind that fragile PVC pipe thing. And by the time the teacher came back, everything was like dismantled. It's like almost destroyed. And so the mean teacher came back and kind of like scolded the kids a little bit. And like, you're not supposed to do that. And it's been stricter about them not hiding behind it. But then when he realized that they had forsaken the rule that we had set in place, then they reminded themselves, okay, now we know for sure no less than 3 teachers in the class at a time, or else it happens.
There you
And
go.
then we had to go back and reset up everything.
Well, you know what I like about that? You recognize your part in the bigger picture. Like, to me, that's huge because we all got our own stuff to deal with, right? So that's cool. I mean, it's not cool that it's cool you tore the place up. Yeah, let's do it. Awesome.
At our church, we do like events and like we have like I guess to count how many kids there are and make sure that they don't leave. And so we have like a checkout process, and somehow usually before now we do this, but before the person that was checking out, they were supposed to stand at the door and like let the kids go out one by one. Like you check them off and then you give them to the parents. Well, one time like our class was like crazy, and so 2 kids somehow like got out.
She was going to say escaped.
Yeah. So yeah, they escaped. And they went and found their grandma. Well, their grandma like was their church, and they don't come all the time. They just come. And they told her like, oh, the like a teacher. I think they said the redhead. I don't know. They always say, oh yeah, the redhead. I didn't say anything, but. Like, oh yeah, she said that we can go.
It's easy to blame the redhead.
Yeah, because it's like, oh yeah, I just picked her, but and so the grandma ended up coming back and like kind of in a not in like a super rude way, but kind of in a rude way, like scolding us and like,
Right.
they could have got kidnapped, like you don't know who could have took them and all this stuff. And we had to have a meeting after that and like establish like somebody to stay there,
Right.
no matter if there's like disarray happening and somewhere else that you see, like just tell another teacher that way if the kids don't.
Yeah.
Know that later.
Yes. So, and that's really an awesome one. How many of us feel great about our check-in, check-out processes? Oh, look at all the hands that went up. You're all alone, sister. So sorry. Man, check-in, check-out is tough. Check-out is tough. We had a similar deal. So we have Sunday school. We all come in, we go upstairs, we have Sunday school, kids church, Sunday school, and then we come down for worship. And it's all, it's us and our, it's us and our routes. And so we come down the stairs at our place as a group, and we come in the back of the sanctuary, and our route teams are right there to gather up the routes from the different classes, and they set together. And then the kids go to their parents. Well, we have one family where the little guy has he just had some struggles in life, period. And so he was actually hospitalized for a while, got help for things. Read between the lines there. He needed help in a hospital for his situation. And it was several, just probably 30 to 60 days after he had been released, and he was coming back to kids' church, and he was able to come to Sunday school and everything. Just so awesome. And but with that, he ended up, he has to take medicine at certain times and all that stuff, and it's pretty powerful stuff. And after Sunday school, we came down. He come down like he always did, went right to where he was supposed to be. He crawled underneath the pew and fell asleep. Well, Mama didn't realize he was there. Didn't realize he was under the pew. We had no idea where he was, so we all start looking all over the church. We start looking all over the church. We're looking in every Sunday school classroom. We're checking the restrooms. We got people outside walking up and down both streets, making sure he's not wandering around everywhere. Now, the only place we hadn't checked was the sanctuary, because he can't be there. Mama just left her pew crying because where's my baby? And he can't be in the sanctuary. But finally, we were like, okay, we've checked everywhere. You call the police because we've checked everywhere. Now I'm going to go and very discreetly try not to disrupt the whole service to find this child inside the sanctuary. But I went and looked. He's under the pew sleeping right really where he should be. So like, whew, right? But now, correction of errors, we're going to hand off that one because there's a special need there. We're going to hand that one off to Mama, 100%, hand to hand, make sure there's no doubt. But that was super scary. We did. We ended up, we had to call the police off because we found them before they arrived. But that would have been, it's just, the thought of losing a child is like, I think, our worst nightmare. I think, and check-in, check-out process can be super hard to navigate, especially when you got, any amount of kids. The larger the kids, the harder it is. And then when you throw in some kind of special circumstance, it's like you gotta make sure that they're safe. Safety's like our deal. So, all right, 4 more minutes. Anybody got another?
Got one that's not fun to talk about, but you learn. Some of them are funny, some of them aren't.
Right?
We learned how to have bus safety. My daughter got hit by a Jeep
Yes.
and got in the hospital for months and months. We knew proper training. We didn't do all this stuff. We didn't know we were supposed to do it. So we learned the hard way how to correct errors. So we have medical procedures, how to cross the street, how not to cross the street, how to take care of somebody if they get hurt. I learned the hard way.
And that is the hardest way to learn, right? Like, yeah, I think we've all we're praying through that whole deal. Like, oh, yes, yeah, we've got to have those procedures. We got to, and it's just like regular insurance, right? You pay for it, and you have it, but you never in your life want to use it. And that's exactly the way it is with our procedures, with our safety of our kids and our staff and all of us. Like, you never,
You're wasting time.
right?
In those trainings, kids are yawning through it, and bus workers think it's not important. Sometimes you're training it yourself, and you don't think it's that important.
Right.
And then it's
critical, and it's critical.
And then the lawyers are asking you.
Right. Yeah. Painful. But what do you got to do? Dry yourself off. Get right with the lifeguard. Get back at it. Good stuff. Way to go. All right. Well, anybody else? we can dismiss. No, nobody else wants to. Everybody else, success! Success!